This horse never imagined that one day its job would be stolen, and the rival would actually be a centaur. At first, it had the upper hand because there was only one horse in the village. It knew James really liked it, and James would never hit it, so it had always treated James with total indifference. But it had no idea that centaurs existed in the world. That really pissed it off. So the next morning, it actually took the initiative and waited for James at his door, signaling for him to ride on its back. Seeing that, James climbed on, but to his surprise, the centaur who saw the scene got jealous. From that day on, every morning right after waking up, two horses would be waiting in place for James to ride, and all that changed in the village was the addition of a centaur tribe. Yet life had already changed so dramatically, James couldn't even imagine what would happen if a minotaur tribe showed up too. But the most urgent thing now was to build houses for them first, since both races were huge in size. He specially built extra tall houses for them. On top of that, even the furniture was massive. Take the dining table. For example, when James sat together with them, he practically felt like a little kid, but their beds weren't very large, and their shape was especially unusual. That was to keep their feet from getting bumped. As for the house designed for centaurs, besides being taller, it used a stable-like layout. That was because their living habits were very similar to horses. However, centaurs weren't very good at opening doors with their bodies, so the entrance had a curtain door operated by a rope. Only on rainy days would the door be fully closed. After a month of work, the two villages were basically complete, including the ones built earlier. A total of 3 new villages had been constructed. The village chiefs were the leaders of each tribe. As for why no village had been built for the tree spirits, it was because they generally didn't move around. Considering their special trait of staying motionless outdoors, James simply scattered them around the outskirts of the 3 villages, where they were in charge of keeping watch and relaying messages. They also seemed to have some kind of telepathic ability, so they were perfect as support staff. Next came the matter of daily life for the two races. At first, James thought minotaurs and centaurs would have no trouble hunting, but the minotaurs, unlike how they looked, were actually a fairly gentle race and had no combat ability. As for the centaurs, most of them were refugees, so even self-defense was already a struggle. Afraid the villages might be attacked by monsters, James asked Spider-Girl and the Grey Wolf to serve as village guards. Both of them had Demon King level talent, so guarding the villages was no problem at all. What surprised him most was the tree spirits. Their combat ability seemed quite strong. Although they mainly specialized in ambushes and couldn't actively hunt, there was no need to assign extra guards to them. As for the minotaurs and centaurs, James wanted them to learn self-reliance, so he opened up farmland in several villages and had them grow crops. But then another problem came up. Normally, James farmed using the all-purpose farming tool, which could ignore things like seasonal limits and still produce crops. As long as he planted seeds, he was guaranteed a harvest. But other people didn't have that kind of cheat. Fortunately, some of the minotaurs had learned how to farm, although their efficiency was much lower than James's, and even wheat took about half a year to grow. At least they could now live independently. James couldn't help but thank the gods once again. Thanks to the all-purpose farming tool bestowed by the gods, he could even grow pineapples in the middle of winter. At the same time, the centaurs also found a new job, centaur delivery. Although they weren't good at hunting monsters, what they excelled at was running fast, so using them to transport supplies was perfect.